What if living to 98 was not the result of extraordinary discipline, rare genetics, or perfect decisions, but the quiet accumulation of small choices that never seemed important at the time? I ask that question now, at an age I never expected to reach. When people learn how old I am, they often assume I must have followed some special formula. They imagine strict routines, complicated rules, or a life carefully engineered to last as long as possible. The truth is far simpler, and perhaps more unsettling. I did not set out to live a long life. I simply lived the one in front of me. Only now, with nearly a century behind me, can I see certain patterns clearly. Not dramatic moments, not heroic efforts, but ordinary habits that stayed with me year after year. They did not announce themselves as secrets. They never asked for attention, yet they remained steady while other things fell away. These 7 secrets are not instructions. They are observations. They are what remained when trends changed, when energy faded, when ambition softened, and when time quietly revealed what truly mattered. The first secret has to do with pace. How often I chose not to rush, not to force my life forward faster than it wanted to move. The second is about food, not in the modern sense of diets or restrictions, but in the simple way I ate without excess and stopped before my body was burdened. The third concerns movement, not exercise as performance, but daily motion that kept my body useful without wearing it down. The fourth secret is emotional. Over the years, I learned that carrying anger forward came at a physical cost. Letting go was not a moral achievement, it was a form of preservation. The fifth secret involves rest, listening when my body asked for sleep and allowing recovery to be part of life rather than something postponed. The sixth is about people. Staying connected, even as loss accumulated, gave my days meaning and kept me engaged with the world. And finally, the seventh secret is acceptance, choosing not to fight aging itself, but to adapt to each stage as it arrived. I did not know these things while I was living them. I only see them now, looking back, and that is why I share them, not as guarantees, but as a record of what quietly carried me this far. Secret 1. I did not rush my life. When I look back now, one of the clearest patterns I see is how rarely I rushed. That may sound strange in a world that treats speed as virtue, but slowness shaped my life more than ambition ever did. When I was younger, I rushed like everyone else. I hurried to finish tasks, hurried through meals, hurried conversations as if time were something to outrun. But over the years, I noticed something subtle. The faster I moved, the more strained I felt, not just in my mind, but in my body. My breathing became shallow, my sleep suffered. Small aches lingered longer than they should have. So I began to slow down, not as a philosophy, but as a response to discomfort. I left earlier instead of driving faster. I listened longer instead of interrupting. I allowed days to unfold without forcing them into tight schedules. None of this felt important at the time. It simply felt calmer. What I understand now is that rushing keeps the body in a constant state of readiness, as if danger is always near. That state may be useful in emergencies, but it was never meant to be permanent. Over decades, constant urgency wears systems down quietly: heart, digestion, nerves. By moving through life at a steadier pace, I gave my body long stretches of safety. It did not have to brace itself every day. That calm accumulated year after year, and I believe it spared me from the slow erosion that comes from living in a hurry. Longevity, I have learned, favors rhythm over speed. Secret 2. I ate simply and stopped. Before I was full, people often expect a revelation when I talk about food. They wait for me to name a miracle ingredient or a forbidden indulgence. I always disappoint them. I ate what was available. I ate what was familiar, and most importantly, I ate until I was satisfied, not until I was full. In my younger years, food was not entertainment, it was nourishment. Portions were modest, and meals ended when hunger faded. Overeating was rare, not because of discipline, but because excess simply was not part of daily life. I did not understand digestion or metabolism. I only knew how my body felt after meals. Heavy eating left me sluggish. Simple meals left me steady. Over time, I chose steadiness. Looking back now, I see how often my body was spared unnecessary strain. Digestion is work. When we overload it day after day, year after year, that work becomes wear. By keeping meals simple and stopping early, I allowed my body to complete its tasks without exhaustion. I never punished myself with restriction, nor did I reward myself with excess. That balance kept eating neutral, neither a battle nor a temptation. Over 80 years of repetition, that neutrality mattered. My organs were rarely pushed beyond their comfort, and like any system treated gently for long enough, they lasted. Secret 3. I kept moving without punishing my body. I never thought of myself as someone who exercised. I thought of myself as someone who moved. Movement came naturally through daily life, walking to places, standing while working, lifting what needed lifting, bending when necessary. My body stayed active because life required it, not because I demanded performance from it. I never believed pain was something to push through. When something hurt, I adjusted. When I felt tired, I rested. I did not chase endurance or strength for its own sake. I valued usefulness. Many people treat their bodies as projects, always trying to improve them. I treated mine as a partner. I listened when it resisted. I cooperated instead of commanding. Over time, that cooperation built trust. My body did not associate movement with punishment. It did not tighten in anticipation of strain. It moved freely because movement felt safe. At my age now, I am not strong by any modern standard, but my joints still work. My balance remains. My body did not break down from overuse or neglect. It aged gradually, as it was allowed to do. Longevity for me came not from intensity, but from consistency without harm. Secret 4. I learned to let anger go. This was not something I mastered early. In fact, it took me many years to understand how deeply emotions live in the body. When I was younger, I held on to anger. I replayed disagreements. I carried disappointments with me, sometimes for years. I believed holding on was a form of strength. But anger has weight. It tightens the chest. It shortens the breath. It disturbs sleep. I began to notice that when I was angry, my body paid the price long after the moment had passed. Gradually, I learned to release what could not be changed. Forgiveness did not always mean reconciliation. Often, it simply meant deciding that something no longer deserved space inside me. Each time I let go, my body responded. Breathing eased. Tension softened. Rest came more easily. These changes were subtle, but over time they became familiar. I believe the body listens closely to unresolved emotion. When conflict becomes permanent, the body lives in defense. Letting go told my body it was safe again. Over decades, that safety mattered. My heart was not burdened by old battles. My nervous system was not locked in the past. Peace, I learned, is not passive. It is protective. Secret 5. I slept when my body asked for it. Sleep was never something I argued with. When I was tired, I rested. When night arrived, I allowed the day to end. I did not treat sleep as an obstacle to productivity or a weakness to overcome. I treated it as a signal, one I learned to respect. There were periods in my life when responsibilities were heavy. Children needed care. Work demanded attention. Worries followed me home. Even then, I tried not to steal from my nights to feed my days. If something remained unfinished, I trusted it could wait. I noticed early on that poor sleep changed everything. My patience shortened. My body felt heavier. Small problems felt larger than they were. When I slept well, the same problems felt manageable. My body moved differently. My thinking cleared. So I built my life around rest instead of forcing rest into a crowded life. Even when sleep did not come easily, I practiced stillness. I lay quietly, breathing slowly, letting my body know it was allowed to stand down. I did not fight wakefulness. I did not check clocks. I did not rehearse tomorrow's tasks. Rest, I learned, was not only about unconsciousness, it was about lowering resistance. Over the years, this habit repaired more than I realized. Sleep restored what effort wore down. It gave my body time to recalibrate, to clean itself, to reset small imbalances before they became large ones. At 98, I am convinced that many people do not age quickly. They simply fail to recover. Sleep was my daily repair work, repeated faithfully for decades. Secret 6. I stayed connected to people. Longevity is not only a physical matter, it is also social. I stayed connected to people, even when it would have been easier not to. I spoke with neighbors. I kept in touch with family. I listened more than I talked. I showed up when invited, even when I felt tired or distracted. Over a long life, loss accumulates. Friends move away. Loved ones pass on. Relationships change. At several points, I could have withdrawn, protected myself from further attachment. But I did not. Instead, I allowed new connections to form. Human contact gave structure to my days. Conversations pulled me outward when I might have turned inward. Sharing meals, exchanging stories, and being part of other people's lives reminded me that I still belonged to the world. I noticed something important. When I felt needed, my body responded. I stood straighter. I moved with more purpose. My days had shape. Loneliness, on the other hand, drained energy quietly. It narrowed attention and dulled curiosity. I saw it in others who isolated themselves. Their bodies aged faster than their years suggested. Staying connected kept my inner world flexible. I learned new perspectives. I adapted to change. I remained emotionally active even as my body slowed. I believe meaning keeps the body invested in continuing. As long as I had people to talk to listen to care about, my body had reasons to stay engaged. Secret 7. I accepted aging instead of fighting it. This final secret may be the most difficult to embrace. I did not try to stay young. When changes came, I acknowledged them. When my strength declined, I adjusted my expectations. When my memory slowed, I became more patient with myself. I did not treat aging as an enemy to defeat. Resistance creates tension. Acceptance creates adaptation. I watched others spend enormous energy trying to reverse time, chasing youth, denying limits, pushing their bodies to behave as they once had. Many of them paid for that resistance with injury, frustration, and exhaustion. I chose a different approach. Each decade, I asked a simple question. What does this version of me need? At 40, my body needed activity and challenge. At 60, it needed balance and care. At 80, it needed gentleness and attention. By allowing my identity to evolve with my body, I reduced internal conflict. My system was not constantly bracing against reality. It was cooperating with it. Aging, I learned, is not a single event. It is a series of transitions. When those transitions are met with acceptance rather than fear, the body moves through them more smoothly. At 98, I do not mourn what I no longer am. I appreciate what remains. That appreciation brings calm, and calm, sustained over years, is kind to the body. When people ask me how I lived to 98, I can see the hope behind the question. They are not only curious about my past, they are quietly wondering about their own future. I understand that now in a way I could not when I was younger. I wish I could say there is a single decision that guarantees a long life. There is not. Life does not offer contracts or certainty. I have known careful people who lived briefly and careless ones who lived long. Chance plays its part, but chance does not work alone. Looking back, I see that my life was not shaped by dramatic moments, but by repeated ones. The way I moved through my days, the way I treated my body when no one was watching, the way I handled tension, rest, connection, and change. None of these felt powerful at the time. Together, they became decisive. I did not give my body a perfect life. I gave it a manageable one. I did not ask it to recover from constant excess, urgency, or inner conflict. I allowed it to operate within its limits, and when those limits changed, I adjusted rather than resisted. If there is anything these 7 secrets share, it is gentleness, not weakness, but respect for the body, for time, and for the fact that life is meant to be lived forward, not controlled. At 98, I do not claim wisdom. I only offer perspective. Live in a way that your body does not need to escape from. Move through your days without constant strain. Let time do some of the work for you. That quietly and patiently is what carried me here. I wish I had understood these things earlier, when I still believed time was endless.